This video is in response to Jeff Kempens. He put out a thread number 2. The question was, if you were to suddenly wake up and forgotten everything, what record album would you like to listen to again? What record album, just I guess means the most to you if you had one thing to listen to. Well, Jeff, I don't know. I think every day I kind of wake up and go, well, what did I listen to yesterday? And I have to rediscover it all over again. This really wasn't too hard for me. Now, my story, there's no sex, there's no drugs, there's no rock and roll. So, Jeff, unlike yours, mine's is completely opposite. Kids can come in, watch my video, and unlike yours, we don't have to send them to the other rooms. So, there you go. I guess I'm G-rated. So, mine began in the early aughts. Had a neighbor across the street move in, and the guy played jazz guitar. He had his own jazz combo. His wife had a really great job, so all he had to do was go around and play jazz. Can't go wrong with that one. And so we talked a lot about music, and he asked to come over and see my record room. Now, this was in I was living in Minnesota, and I'd taken my basement, and I had finished it with a record room in mind. So I'd built built-ins and everything for my albums and CDs. I was really proud of it. So he came down and he's looking through CDs and looking through the albums. I was looking for something to listen to. And he didn't find anything. It kind of goes back to that one video I did on Your Music Collection Sucks. This was Music Collection Sucks Part 2, shall we say. Thousands of CDs and albums, and there wasn't anything. He says, you know what? Come over to my place. So went across the street, went over to his house, and he pulled out Miles Davis, Kinda Blue. All right? And this is the, they had that nice, 50th, 60th anniversary. Came with a beautiful book and everything. This is like one of my most prized possessions, okay? And so he pulls out this album, we sit down, and he starts to play it. Now, I'd heard Kinda Blue, I'd heard it on a soundtrack, and I really liked it, but I didn't know anything really about jazz. And, I mean, wow. It was the most incredible thing to me I'd ever heard of. He began to explain it. He began to talk about it. He talked about the solos, talking about the people that were playing it on this album. And it made it more exciting. And so this, here he is. He's an expert. And he's just going through all the stuff. And I just knew nothing about jazz. This guy has thousands of jazz CDs. Well, he's a jazz musician, right? And so after So What came, Freddie Freeloader, then Blue and Green, then came All Blues, and then Flamenco Sketches. And what was really beautiful is this had, there was John Coltrane's on there, Bill Evans, Paul Chambers, Jimmy Cobb, Cannonball Adderley. They're on here. The jazz greats were all on this. This is made in 1959. It's the most perfect jazz album. If I had one album, if I was thrown on a desert island and I was allowed only one thing, one album that I could have to listen to, it would be Miles Blues. It would be Kinda Blue by Miles Davis. Even when I'm reading, I stop reading when Kinda Blue comes on, because I just have to sit there and I have to listen to those solos and listen to what they do. So, there's no sex involved. We had no drugs, no rock and roll. There might have been a glass of wine. He probably drank wine. I'm sure I probably asked for a beer. So maybe so there could have been some alcohol involved. But what happened is so I took Kinda Blue home. And then he began to give me other Miles Davis. And then I began to buy, and went on to Amazon and began to buy, and suddenly I have 8 different box sets, 50 CDs. I've been buying the record albums. I became obsessive with Miles Davis. But the interesting thing, what I like about jazz, is that suddenly you go, okay, John Coltrane's playing, so I start buying John Coltrane. Cannonball Adderley, oh man, I gotta start buying his stuff. Paul Chambers, you start buying his stuff, and that's the beauty of it. Bill Evans, I went into a bunch of his. Jazz just takes you all over the places. These guys have combos, and that's what I liked about it. So, yeah, if I woke up and I wanted to listen, again, couldn't remember anything, uh, that would be the album that really woke me up. That really made a tremendous difference. There's a lot of great music that I have, but wow, Miles Davis Kind of Blue, pretty awesome. So there you have it, Jeff. No sex, no drugs, no rock and roll, but a lot of really cool jazz. Have a great one.